Courtroom modernization or Mirage? The hidden risks of digital recording. Across the United States, courts are adopting digital or recording equipment at a rapid pace. Companies pitch their technology as a cutting edge solution to perceived cost and staffing issues, implying that older methods, like stenographic court reporters, are no longer viable nor available. Yet this narrative often relies on outdated studies, misleading claims of a court reporter shortage, and vendor driven pilot programs with questionable objectivity. Meanwhile, the hidden pitfalls of digital recording, ER, ranging from inaudible audio files to ethically ambiguous outsourcing, can undermine the fairness of the entire judicial process. The bogus shortage scare tactic. One of the biggest talking points ER vendors use to push their products is an alleged nationwide shortage of qualified stenographers. They frequently cite the now infamous NCRA Ducker report, a study that projected thousands of unfilled court reporter positions. Yet subsequent evidence and an article in the Journal of Court Reporting, the magazine of the National Court Reporters Association, titled Demise of the Ducker Report, shows that this dire shortage never actually materialized as was predicted. The data was simply inaccurate, unsubstantiated, and out of date. Nevertheless, ER vendors continue to wield the report like a sword, warning court administrators that they must go digital because no human reporters are available. In reality, many capable stenographers are still active, and courts can attract new talent by cultivating a supportive work environment and offering competitive compensation. By repeating outdated findings, ER companies create a climate of panic that can rush courts into purchasing systems without carefully weighing their flaws or hidden costs. What the public, who use the court system, may not realize is that many stenographers have not had a page increase in their rates for decades in some places, and this likely contributes to the narrative of the shortage. Courts are no different than the public sector in that talent cannot be retained without fair wages. While statistics are kept on almost every aspect of court function, the success of the installation of digital systems in courthouses remains a mystery. Failures of digital systems are ignored, and oftentimes appeals courts simply send counsel back to chambers to recreate the record from notes and memories. Few statistics are kept on this overall problem. There seems to be no oversight body where litigants can report their dissatisfaction. Not so modern, the return to QWERTY typing. For courts that buy into digital recording, the immediate promise is that technology will capture the entire proceeding automatically, no human needed. In practice, this so-called modern approach often regresses transcription to a QWERTY environment. It also shifts the burden of cost for a transcript to the litigant in the form of increased transcription costs that they must bear, often with decreased accuracy and increased delivery times. Any audio that must be converted into a written transcript is still typed by a person or partially by artificial intelligence, and then a claim can be made that there was a human in the loop, albeit a cheaper, often unqualified human. Transcribers must constantly rewind the audio files to decipher overlapping voices, soft or heavily accented speech or jargon, or even the identity of the speaker, or they simply insert inaudible when it cannot be understood, making the process lengthy and labor-intensive, far slower and less accurate than a live stenographer taking everything down in real time, creating a skill-based, verifiable record. Automated speech recognition, ASR, a hidden and risky shortcut. Many transcription services tout that automated speech recognition, ASR, will speed things up, generating a first draft that a human editor then reviews. Courts, attorneys, and litigants often do not know that ASR was even used by transcription companies, nor do they see disclosures in the final transcript. These machine-produced or machine-assisted transcripts can contain serious mishearings, especially of legal terms or nuanced testimony that even seasoned professional court reporters can struggle to capture, but they have the training and the opportunity to clarify at the time. When important phrases or witness statements are garbled, no one may catch the errors until it's too late. These silent errors can distort the record and even jeopardize the party's right to a fair appeal. Secrecy compounds the problem. Litigants and attorneys are frequently unaware that ASR factored into their official transcript at all. It is never disclosed, which could impact attorneys' obligations under ABA Formal Opinion 512. They then lose the ability to challenge any machine-specific errors because they do not realize that a machine or a large language model heard them incorrectly in the first place. These language models can hallucinate testimony, insert and or delete words, all of which are silent to the litigants, attorneys, and judges. These silent errors are not reproducible or traceable, and forensic experts that could possibly authenticate an ASR record are scarce, if it's even possible. With ER and ASR, there's simply no such transparency with the lack of any verifiable record. Vendors claim we don't do transcription, except some sort of do. This business model can create a conflict of interest. A vendor sells or leases audio capture hardware and software to the courts, and then a seemingly different entity handles outsourced transcription. The same vendor that pushes courts to adopt digital recording solutions may also end up profiting from every single transcript request that the system later generates. Courts may not even realize they're locked into a one-stop shop arrangement courtesy of entities that are legally distinct, but operationally intertwined. When poor records are produced, the digital equipment provider can say, well, it was the transcription company's fault. No accountability. The transcription company can say, well, we couldn't produce it accurately because the hardware/audio was garbled. This leaves no accountability. Reliability gaps, privacy, and oversight. Beyond concerns about conflict of interest, several other major risks loom large. Number one, inaudible recordings. Decades of appeals cases have documented missing, muffled, or overlapping audio. When the system fails, attorneys and judges end up reconstructing transcripts behind closed doors, a poor substitute for a verbatim record, and a highly concerning transparency gap for litigants. Number two, privacy violations. If the raw audio files are outsourced, domestically or internationally, for transcription, no robust safeguards exist to keep personal data or sealed testimony from leaking. ASR usage further complicates data ownership and security because many speech recognition systems rely on cloud-based processing. Number three, no independent oversight. Courts generally lack a neutral regulatory body to track error rates or enforce best practices for transcripts produced by digital/ASR. Vendors often self-report glowing success, while real-world failures remain hidden. User satisfaction surveys are rarely conducted, leaving judges and attorneys with nowhere to lodge complaints when transcripts prove faulty. Untold costs. The initial pitch often promises cost savings, no salaries for reporters, but ongoing maintenance, software licensing, service calls, and outsourced transcription costs often balloon the total expense. If the system breaks down or produces a flawed record, the cost of the retrial of a case dwarfs any short-term savings. Modernization at what cost? All too often, jurisdictions embrace ER under the banner of modernization, only to discover they've swapped one set of expenses, stenographers, for another set of risks and hidden fees. They might also unwittingly open the door to unproven or poorly disclosed AI-driven transcription that can put fundamental rights and courtroom confidentiality in jeopardy. Meanwhile, The tired claim that we have no choice because there's a massive court reporter shortage rests on an outdated study that has been discredited by subsequent data and analysis in the Journal of Court Reporting. Moving forward, demand transparency and accountability. The answer is not necessarily to abandon all technology in courtrooms, but rather to approach it with eyes wide open. Independent evaluations. Courts should insist on truly neutral assessments unaffiliated with the digital equipment vendors before adopting any system. Clear disclosures. If ASR is used to generate all or part of a transcript, litigants, attorneys, and judges should be explicitly informed. Authenticity safeguards. Much like a stenographer's notes, digital recordings must have a reliable chain of custody and a verifiable method to detect alterations. Re-examine the shortage myth. Administrators should look beyond outdated reports and seek up-to-date information on court reporter availability and training programs and industry pay scales. Only through transparency, oversight, and informed choice can courts truly modernize their recording processes without compromising justice. Court administrators must realize that a fancy digital interface does not guarantee an accurate nor cost-effective record, and that corporate reassurances about no more court reporters needed often rest on obsolete data and hidden conflicts of interest. The stakes are too high to let a flawed narrative guide policy, especially when the real losers are the litigants and the public who rely on a reliable, accurate, trustworthy record of courtroom proceedings.